Hello, students. Welcome to today's class. I hope you had a good day in school. Okay, today my lesson is going to be continuation of Monday's class, which is the human circulatory system the circulatory system in humans. So this is part 2. We're going to continue a little bit more. Okay, so if you're here in the studio, in YouTube, can you please write your attendance as a sign that you have joined my class. Okay, I see some girls here. I see my 3P7. Hello, Stella. Crystal, Hui En. Hello, good evening. Denise, Xin Yi. All right. Please write your name and your class, and I will take your attendance later. Okay. So keep the attendance coming. So I am going to show you the screen. Okay. We're going to do a bit of revision first, okay? So on Monday, 2 days ago, right, we talked about the human blood circulatory system, right? Now, on that lesson the other day, I showed you how the blood flows in the heart. What is the structure of the heart? We have 4 chambers, okay? So here to recap a little bit more, here, right? The circulatory system has got 3 components. We have just finished heart, right? That day we have just done heart. So today we're going to do the blood vessels. This is today's lesson. Okay, blood will be next week. So we have done the heart. So just before we go to the blood vessel, let's just recap. All right, let's revise a little bit more. So as you remember, whenever you draw the heart, all right, this is going to be the right side. This is going to be the right side, and this is the left side. Okay, because you imagine it, you're looking at somebody's heart, not your right or your left, but the other person's right or the left. And there are 4 chambers. So you can see here's 1, right, 2, and 3, and 4. And they have special names, okay? Right atrium, this is our atrium. This is left atrium. This is right ventricle. This is left ventricle. Okay, so you need to remember the names, All right. And then we also learn about the correct flow, the way how the blood flows into the heart, come out of the heart. And you can see very clear, the right side of the heart always has it's called the deoxygenated blood, the blood that's got less oxygen because it just come back from the body cells. Okay, keep the attendance coming. All right, so I'm just checking to see if you have any you can just ask me anytime. And on the left side of the heart, the left side is this side, right? It is your right actually, but it's not. It has the blood. Okay? It doesn't make us. The reason is because middle here is called the septum. The septum that separates the 2 parts here. And remember with the dehydrated blood, vena cava, and it enters the atrium, the right atrium, and it pushes into the right ventricle, up the pulmonary artery, then goes all right, to pick up oxygen. Let's see, is everything okay? Can't hear me? Please let me know. There should be no connecting. My sound is on. I see attendance. And then the blood picks up oxygen. It comes out from the lungs, and then it goes back into through this one called the pulmonary vein. Okay, the pulmonary vein transfer the blood that's oxygenated back into the heart, and then the heart pumps it, the atrium pumps it into the ventricle. It comes out through the aorta and goes to the body cells. So this is one whole cycle. And also after the lesson there, the other day was you have actually 2 loops. We call it a double circulatory system. Okay, double, because you see when the blood comes out from the heart, it goes to the lung and comes back to the heart. Is considered the pulmonary circulatory system, from the heart to the lung back to the heart. Okay, that is one small loop lah. Okay, actually there's 1 circle here, and another one is from the heart go and pump to all the body parts except the lung. Then it comes back to the heart. This one is called the systemic circulatory system, which is heart, body cell, and come back to the heart. Okay, so that was our lesson. So now let's look at this one first. Now, I want to give you bring your attention to this one. Now, superior, remember that day the vena cava has got 2. So this is what I'm talking about. Superior is Vena cava is the blood vessel that carries the blood from the top part of your body, from the head, okay, from the neck, from the face. So the blood goes down from the shoulder, goes down to this one, the superior vena cava. And then for the inferior vena cava, it collects blood, all right, from the other parts of your body lah. That means from the lower half of your body, anywhere below the heart. Okay, and that means your stomach, your intestines, your abdomen, your legs, and all that. So it comes up like that. So actually, they are vena cava. So not to worry, if you say vena cava, it will not be wrong. You don't need to specifically is an inferior. You just say vena cava is perfectly all right. It's fine. Okay, so I hope you remember. You need to remember the parts of the heart. Now, today we got the blood vessels, 血管. Okay, so we learned about the machine, the pump already. Now you need to learn about the 血管. 血管 is the blood vessels. So actually, there are 3 types of blood vessels. Okay, let's look at here. Now, there are 3 types of blood vessels. 有3种管. Okay, there are 3 types. Namely, number 1 is called artery. Number 2 is capillary. Number 3 is vein. Okay, so I've written up here. Let's see. Oh, I think I've written up there. I think I've written. I haven't written. So I haven't written. So I write here lah. So there are 3 types. Okay, there are 3 types of blood vessels. Okay, now remember the first one first. Artery. Why do we call it an artery? Now, there's a reason why. Mainly the job or the function is, 它的功能它的 function is to carry the blood out of the heart. That means if the blood is coming out of the heart, away from the heart, that blood vessel is artery. Okay? 那个血管就是 artery. As long as it come out of the heart. So let's say, okay, let me write down first. Artery carries blood vessels away from the heart. That's why we call it artery. As long as the blood vessel is coming out of the heart, it's called artery. So that's why if you see the blood here, you see here, which one is an artery? If you see this picture here, right, the one on the heart, you actually have 4, isn't it? Now, this is 1 here, this is 2 here, this is 3, this is 4. Can you identify here? Number 1, 2, 3, or 4 is considered an artery. Okay, which one is considered an artery? Can you write it in the chat box here? I just want to see. Just put the number 1, 2, 3, or 4. Remember, I told you artery is the blood vessel that carries blood out of the heart. So from here, you can see the direction. So it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. Choose out of these 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which are the blood vessel that carries blood, is considered as artery. Okay, let me look at your attendance. Your answer. I don't see your answer yet. Okay. Which one is considered an artery? Out of number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which one is considered artery? Okay, remember what is artery? Artery is the blood vessel that carries blood out of the heart. Okay, 从那个心脏出来的，它带血出来的，那个就是 artery. Okay, I got answer already. Yes, I got answer. Suddenly all answer come in. Okay, Stella said 2. Vivian said 2. Yes, 3 also got, 2 also got, 3, 2, and 3, 2, and 3. Yes, mostly answer is 2 and 3. Correct. Actually, there are 2 answers. It is 2 and 3. Yes, you're right. Because you see the direction, as long as the blood come out, right, that is considered. Now, you see, this one it's not wrong. It's called pulmonary artery. 看到吗? I see artery because it carries blood out of the heart. Now, for the aorta is just a special name on it. It's actually also artery. It is the biggest artery in the whole body. Okay, so it's the biggest artery, so we'll give it a special name. Actually, aorta is also artery. Okay, so you understand now why is it called artery? As long as it carries blood out of the heart, it's considered artery already. Okay, now it doesn't matter whether it's oxygenated or deoxygenated blood. Okay, don't care what kind of blood is inside there, whether it's the blue one or the red one, doesn't matter. It's artery means it comes out of the blood already. Comes out of the heart. Okay, that's the first one. Now the second one, let's talk about the vein. Okay, the second one is called the vein. Now vein has the opposite function. You have artery carry blood out of the heart, then you must have another blood vessel to carry the blood back to the heart. Okay, there must be, isn't it? You come out, there must be another blood vessel to bring the blood back into the heart. So that one is called a vein. So vein carries, opposite, carries blood back to the heart. Okay? Carries blood back to the heart. So now, if you look at this diagram here, which one will be considered a vein? Which one? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Which one is considered a vein here? Okay, I rub away so many wordings here. Cannot see properly. Okay, type in the chat box there. Which one is considered a vein? Which one is considered a vein? So a vein is, remember, it is a blood vessel that carries blood back to the heart or into the heart. Okay, 它带血进那个心脏的. So which one? Okay, I've got answer already. Okay, 1 and 4, 1 and 4. Okay, Halisa just came in. Right. Crystal, 1 and 4, 1 and 4, 1 stroke 4. Yes, correct. You have two answers actually. It is 1 and 4. So 1 is called vena cava. Remember? Now, vena is a vena. That's why the name here, vena cava. Vena is actually vein. So 1 is correct. 4. Now, remember this name is called pulmonary vein. The one that carries blood from the lung, is oxygenated blood from the lung into the heart. That is a pulmonary vein. So you see 1 and 4 are veins. Okay, understand? As long as the blood comes into the heart, it's called a vein. Doesn't matter whether it's oxygenated or deoxygenated blood. Doesn't matter what kind of blood it is. Okay, so now the third one. What is the third one? The third one is called capillary. Now capillary is 1P but double L. If more, we call it capillaries. Now capillaries are actually very fine blood vessels. They are very, very small. Okay, artery can be big. Artery can be like aorta is the biggest artery. Then after artery, you will have a lot of branching out. 它会分比较小的出来. Okay, so from artery, one artery or aorta, you will come smaller ones. And then after the blood, it will branch out into smaller ones. The smallest blood vessel is called capillary. Okay, but the smallest blood vessel, which is so small, you have to see under the microscope actually. Okay, so small. And this one is actually connecting the artery and the vein. Okay, and it also allows the oxygen to come out and the carbon dioxide to go in. Remember, we had this case whereby the oxygen come out from the blood and go to the body cells. That is the capillary. Because the capillary is so small, the membrane is so thin, it can allow oxygen to pass through. If it's very thick, artery cannot have diffusion because it is too thick. Okay, the muscle, the layer is too thick. After if you see the picture, you find the artery is too thick. Okay, so the artery, capillaries here is, you can put here as connects, 连接. Okay, that means connect, join together. Connects arteries to vein. And also, it allows diffusion of gases and also nutrients to take place. That means it allows the things to pass out and go into the capillary, in and out. Okay, so these are the 3 types of blood vessels. We will see the details now. Okay, let's look at the details. Let me open this a little bit bigger. Okay, now let's look at the details. Let's look at textbook. Okay, so this is how it works. You can see from the heart. If the blood comes from the heart, this one is considered artery. So you must see the direction. Whenever they draw this picture, they will always give you the direction. If you don't give you direction, sometimes you cannot know whether it's an artery or vein. But sometimes you also can see because of the lining, the thickness. First, you will see the difference in the structure. 它里面它的厚度不一样的. So you can see from there the thickness of the membrane of the wall. You can see whether it's artery or a vein. Okay, so now from the heart, this is an artery. Now, if it coming to the heart, right, it's bringing the blood, is considered a vein. And you can see in the middle there, this is a capillary, which is very, very small. Okay, because here from one artery, it branch out into smaller and smaller and smaller until you get the small one, it is capillary. Okay, now the smaller one here, this artery, this is called artery. The other one is actually called arteriole. So I want you to know this word, arteriole. Arteriole means it's a smaller artery only. Okay, 它分叉出来的，分很多 a lot of smaller ones. So they call arteriole. Then from the arteriole, they will branch out to the smallest, it's called the capillary. And capillary here is what happens where you have this body cell. This I'm drawing a body cell. Remember cells here, and then oxygen out. Okay, remember oxygen go out for diffusion oxygen, and at the same time, carbon dioxide from the body cells will. Okay, this is CO2. This is where capillary. The place capillary is where the diffusion happens, where oxygen goes to the body cells and carbon dioxide from the body cell will come in. So the exchange, exchange of the gases, it happens at the capillary because the capillary is very thin, so oxygen can pass through. With artery cannot, because you see so many layers. It has got thick, okay, elastic wall. 它很多层的，很厚的, so the diffusion cannot happen through the artery, cannot happen through the vein also. Okay, so now you see the capillary. That's why I say it's connecting the artery and the vein, and also capillary is where you have diffusion. Okay, another function of capillary, you say it enables diffusion to happen. Okay, diffusion of gases, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and also nutrients to pass through. Okay, so that is the three. Now, how do they connect together? How do these three connect together? So I want to show a picture. They join up. Now you see this. Okay, I make it bigger first. Make this bigger. All right, now you can see here with yesterday, that Monday, the lesson, we started off with, now don't care about all these names and all that. You see the direction of the flow. The oxygenated blood is here, right? Now, the oxygenated blood, right, come in. There's a two, isn't it? Okay, never mind, don't care which one, as long as it's enough. So blood comes in, right? And it passes through your bicuspid valve. It goes into your ventricle, the right ventricle. Then it comes out. Can you see that? Right? And when the ventricle squeezes, it pushes the blood up through the pulmonary artery. And here it will go to the what? Now you can see this is your lung. The lung to pick up oxygen. Okay. Once it pick up oxygen, you can see that the blood is already, must put red color. Okay, so the direction here, red, right. So this is oxygenated blood coming back to the heart, and it comes back through a pulmonary vein. Vein means coming in, coming in the vein. Pulmonary means coming from the lung. So this is oxygenated blood. The blood goes into the atrium. I cannot see already inside there. Okay, go in, then come out through the aorta. This one. Okay, aorta. Now passes it to what? So this is aorta, is a big one. But aorta is only one. You have so many parts of your body that needs blood. So your aorta must divide some more. So when it divides some more, so this is aorta, right? This is aorta, let's say aorta, it will divide some more smaller ones. So like that. Okay. So here you got smaller ones, it divide and divide. So the smaller ones are called arteriole. Okay, not this one. Then look at the smaller one. Now this is called arteriole. Arteriole means smaller, the branching out of the artery. Okay, so arteriole will somehow branch out smaller, until you get the very, very fine one. This is called capillary, the smallest ones. Capillaries. And here is where you have your body cells. Now all these body cells all ready to absorb oxygen. Okay, here body cells all ready to absorb the oxygen. So all these are, they draw so many there, all right, because they are very, very, it's very extensive Okay, 那个 capillaries 是很多很多非常多的 so they just draw so many there. So oxygen pass through the body cell, correct? Then carbon dioxide that is made inside the body cells because it's carrying out respiration. So this carbon dioxide is going to be pass out, go to the what? Going back into the blood. Now this blood is full of deoxygenated blood, isn't it? So now all this blood join back. This is capillary. Many capillary join together to get one small vein. We call it venule. Venule is a small vein. Venule, okay? So many capillaries join together, you get a venule. Then after that, many venules join together. You see, venule join together. You are going to get, not blackbird, this is wrong, okay? You're going to get vein. Understand? All right, then this vein will carry this blood back to the heart through the vena cava. This is the vena cava. Okay, we see. Understand? So they actually join together, and you can see that the blood is always continuous. Okay, it's never a part where the blood stops flowing. From the aorta, from the artery, it comes out, it will 给那个 capillary. Then from the capillary, all the oxygen will come out, and then carbon dioxide go in, and it continues back the flow, right, back to the heart. So this is how the artery connect back to the vein and through the capillaries there. And it happens all the time, okay? Forever. As long as you are still alive, the blood will flow like that. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, no, I just see names here, so should be no problem. Now, so let's look at the characteristics of each type. Okay, different blood vessel, 它们的特征不一样. They have different characteristics. Now, first we look at the artery first, since we're talking about coming out of the heart. Okay, artery first. First of all, the artery, the structure, okay, 它的we call it 厚度, the thickness, it is quite thick. The layer, you can see actually there are 3 layers. So the first layer is this one. This is the first layer. All right, this is number 1. The second layer is actually muscle. And then the third layer is very, very thin. This is only 1 cell thick one. You see the orange color one? Okay, so the number 2 here is actually very thick because it's muscles. Muscular wall, 它有 smooth muscle. And why do you have smooth muscle? Because it can contract and relax. So your blood vessel actually can contract and relax one. Okay, 它会有收缩性的那个 blood vessel. So sometimes it can push the blood along. Okay, so and it has very thick. So you can see the thickness here. Here compared to this one, this is the vein. Now this is thinner. Okay, you look at the second layer. The second layer is a light yellow color one. The vein has a thinner layer of muscle. The artery has a thicker layer of muscle. Now, why? The difference is important here because the blood that come out of the heart is actually high pressure. Okay, if you don't have a thick layer of muscle there, if it's 很薄, that means it's not strong. When the blood come out, it may break, right? If the pressure is too high, it will burst. So your blood vessel will break, and then the blood will flow all everywhere. You will not reach the place that you want to go. So it's to withstand. Withstand means 耐. 要耐那个 high blood pressure from the heart. So all the blood that comes up from the heart, it is called artery, right? It must run through the artery, and it is actually thick. So that because it can stand the pressure. If it's very thin, the pressure come out, the high pressure, then the thing will burst. Then burst habis lah, it will die lah, right? You get what you call a stroke. If it happens in your brain, you call it a stroke. You call it 中风. 中风 is what happens when the blood vessels break inside your brain here. Okay, that's called 中风. So this is not good, right? You should not want the blood to break. You do not want the blood vessels to break. So it has to flow continuously in the tube, right? So now another thing is there is no valves. Valves is, remember last time you learned, this is a picture of a valve. Vein your valve. Valve is like a flap. Remember last lesson we talked about the flap that closes open like that. Is to allow the blood to go through. It cannot come back already. That means you cannot go backwards. 它不会, we call it backflow. Call it 导流, okay, 导流, it goes backwards. So the blood, once it passes through already, it shouldn't come back because once it go through, the flap will close here. So it has, but it doesn't need. For artery, it doesn't have valve. Okay, the reason is because the pressure is so high, the blood will never have a chance to go backwards. So no need to have valves. because the pressure keeps on pushing. So the blood always go in one direction, right? For the artery, there's no chance for it to come backwards. And small lumen. Okay, what's the meaning of lumen? Lumen is actually the lubang there lah, 那个洞. We call it the opening or the space inside there. It's the space for the thing to move lah, the blood and the red blood cell, white blood cell, everything lah. Okay, lumen means that opening there, the space. So the lumen is very small. Why is it small? Because the muscle is thick. So when the muscle is thick, that means inside there got very small lubang, right? Isn't it? So it is because the thickness of the muscle there. But on the other hand, you see the vein. The vein, because of the muscle is thin, so you find the lumen is bigger. Okay? Right? Can you see the difference? The lumen in the vein is bigger because the muscle is thinner. That's the difference. And it has valves because the blood is low pressure. Okay, for the blood that this travel through the vein, because it's coming back to the heart from the body, the bottom part, everywhere, coming to the heart is actually low pressure. So when it's low pressure, it's possible, 有可能, the blood can flow backwards. That means it's very difficult to go forward. So we don't want it to go backwards. We have this valve. Once it passes through, close. Okay, so it can only go forward. We don't want it to go backwards. So for vein, the difference here is it has thin compared. You see, now we look at it together, we can compare the difference. Vein is thin muscle, less muscular, and less elastic. 那个弹性 not so strong, right? Because the muscle is thinner. And the blood flow there is low blood pressure. Okay, the blood coming back to the heart is actually low pressure. But for artery, it's thick, it's elastic. A lot of, the thickness is there, muscular, very muscular, is actually to stand the high pressure from the blood. Okay, vein no valves, artery got valves. And then vein is large lumen, artery is small lumen. So if I give you a picture, I slice through the blood vessel, you should be able to tell me whether it is vein or artery by looking at the lumen. Number one, look at the lumen, big or small, compare. Another one, look at the muscle, the muscle 那个 wall, is it thick or thin? If it's thick, means it's artery. If it's thin, means it's vein. Okay, so these are the questions that you will get. Very common. They ask you to give you a picture. Okay, tell me, is it artery or vein? So you see lah, you see the vein lah. You see the lumen. You see 有没有 valve. You also see whether thick or thin. Okay, so that's the one. Now, next one. What about the function? Just now we saw that artery will always bring the blood out. So for artery, it transports oxygenated blood. That means usually the blood that come out of the heart is 有 oxygen 的. Okay, 有 oxygen 的. Except it goes to everywhere except the lungs. But there is one blood vessel that is called artery also, but it doesn't have oxygen one. Okay, can you tell me which one? Okay, if you look back at the picture here, it's called artery, but it doesn't carry oxygenated blood. It carries actually deoxygenated blood. Do you know which one? Okay, see this picture better lah. Okay, here you told me just now you have two arteries, correct or not? The artery that you told me just now was 2 and 3, correct? 2 and 3 is called artery. But there is one that is carrying the oxygenated blood. And it is which one? Here, this one, you can see here. Pulmonary artery. So even though it's artery, right? It's artery, all arteries should by right carry oxygenated blood. 应该会带 oxygenated blood 的，有 oxygenated 血啦。But there's only one that is different. 它 is, even though it's called artery, but it carries the oxygenated blood. So this is the only one. This is the only artery that carries the oxygenated. The rest are all oxygenated. There's no other artery that is carries the oxygenated blood except only this one. Only this one is deoxygenated. Okay, so here if you see the function is to carry oxygenated blood. It carries blood away from the heart. Okay, carries blood away from the heart. All right, except for this one, pulmonary artery, it will carry the oxygenated blood. So all the arteries carry oxygenated blood except this one only. Okay, now for the vein, as you know, vein bring the blood back to the heart, so it should be carrying deoxygenated blood, lah, isn't it? Because it's coming back from the body cells, it brings back to the heart here. So it should be carrying deoxygenated blood, except got one also, you also got 例外, we call it exception. 它也有一个例外. Do you know which one? Can you write in the chat box? I want to have an interaction with you. Can you write in the chat box which vein does not carry deoxygenated blood? Some of you write here, pulmonary vein. 对, pulmonary artery. 对, okay, pulmonary artery. 刚才的 question. Now, 现在的 question, which vein does not carry deoxygenated blood? It carries oxygenated blood. Which one? Okay, I've got an answer. I got the answer. Here is pulmonary. It's the wrong spelling, pulmonary, Stella. Okay, but anyway, correct. Pulmonary vein. I see here. This one. This is the pulmonary vein. Even though it's coming back to the heart, by right should be deoxygenated, but because it's coming from to the left side of the heart, this one carry oxygen. So all the veins carry 没有 oxygen 的血 except pulmonary vein. This one got oxygen. Okay, correct? Yes. So now let's look here. So the difference here is all the veins should carry deoxygenated blood except this one is called, except the one called pulmonary vein. Because pulmonary vein actually carries oxygenated blood because it comes from the lungs. Come from the lung means got fresh oxygen. Okay, it comes back to the heart. Okay, so that's a function. Let's compare it. Okay, function. Now, what about the blood that's inside the two blood vessels? Which one is fast? Which one is slow? Okay, let's look at artery first. Now, artery is fast. Rapid means fast. The blood is flowing very fast because it's high pressure. Okay, high pressure means it's like inside there. For example, let's say when you're gardening your you know, 浇水, you're actually watering your flowers in the garden, right? Sometimes you use a hose, isn't it? You want the water to go further. What do you do? What do you do when you want to make the what they call the water go further? Right? Usually you have to, isn't it? You have to make the thing, this thing smaller. So when it's smaller, actually it has a higher pressure. That's why it can it can go further. You want the water to go further. Normally you will squeeze, correct? So when you squeeze, actually you're giving what? You're giving higher pressure. So when giving higher pressure, it will flow faster. Flow faster, it can push further away. That's why you can make the water flow further, isn't it? So when it's higher pressure, it will move faster and the lumen is small. Can you see? Higher, when the lumen is small, it has got higher pressure. 它会比较那个水压会高的 okay? Because 它的the lumen is smaller. So the same thing Think of it this way. You want to water your garden. You want to water your flowers. You want to make the water flow further. Okay? High pressure. You have to squeeze it. Correct? Yeah. And then you want the water don't want to go so far. You open it. Then the water will just flow like that. Correct? Okay? So this is artery. Artery, the blood flows very fast. Rapid means fast and is high pressure. Okay, for the vein, it will be slower. The blood has a slower flowing. That means flowing 比较慢 and it has a low blood pressure. Okay, because it's coming back from the legs and everywhere else. So the flowing, and it's going against gravity, Imagine the blood is trying to flow up. So it's not so easy to flow back to the heart, actually. Not so easy. And there's no pulse. Pulse 就是那个脉 Okay, sometimes when you press here, you see, sometimes when you go and see a sensei, the Chinese doctor, right? They don't have the stethoscope, right? They will use the 脉. This is called a pulse. The pulse is created. Why do you feel the pulse here? Why does it feel like something dancing inside there? Like that one is actually the pulse, the pressure from the blood in the artery. When you want to feel the pulse, actually you must find artery. Only the artery you can feel the pulse. For the vein, you cannot feel the pulse because it's going very slowly and very low pressure. 你摸不到那个 pulse 的. Okay, so when you're touching that one, you can feel the pulse. 那个脉is actually you're pressing on the artery. You can feel the pulse. So you can see the pulse detected. Detected means you can feel it. Okay, 会找到 pulse 的，会感觉到有 pulse. 但是 for the vein, you cannot feel the pulse because it's low pressure. Okay, now we look at the capillary. All right, capillary is actually in between. Remember that after the artery, it goes smaller and smaller and smaller. So it is so small that you can see the capillary, the structure is like artery and lumen, but you peel off the first layer, don't have, the second layer don't have, you only left the third layer only. Now you see this one, just the inside on it, which is very, very fine, and you can see under the microscope, it's only one cell thick. You see, all these are cells. One cell, the whole two. The thickness is one cell. So this is the thinnest, it has the thinnest wall, which the cell is only one thickness only, and it's very small actually. One cell is already very small. So it doesn't have any muscle. 那个 number 1 没有 number 2 没有 也没有 elastic. Elastic tissue 就是 number 1 啦 muscle 就是 number 2 layer 啦 so it doesn't have that. It only have the middle, the we call it the epithelium. Okay, number 3 got, okay, number 3 also have got number 3. Okay, so this one capillary only have the third layer there. No valves, all right, because it's so thin, you cannot make any valve inside there. And this is the smallest lumen. The smallest lumen is very fine. You have to put under microscope to see that. It is so fine that it only allows one by one. The blood passing through the capillary is only 1 by 1. Single file, no 2 by 2 one. Because it's so narrow, it only allows 1 by 1 to pass through. Okay, later on we see how small is the red blood cell. Next lesson. Okay, now what is the function of capillary? It is to allow the exchange. 它要给那 diffusion happen. Because if you do not have this capillary, you only have artery, you only have vein, it's too thick. The blood cannot, the oxygen cannot pass through. The carbon dioxide cannot pass through because it's too thick. The muscular layer is blocking. So it's to allow the exchange, 交换那个 gases, the food, don't forget the food, all right? The waste product, things that the cell doesn't want, it must come out and come back to the blood, okay? And also to through diffusion, through the thin wall. So it all happens through diffusion. Okay, now what about the pressure inside there? It's also slow pressure. Okay, slow blood pressure means the blood is flowing slowly, and it's also low pressure. Okay, low pressure. So actually, want to compare. Now, this one is the highest pressure. Artery is the highest pressure. Even though we say the capillary and the vein is low pressure, but actually, which is lower? Okay, capillary is second. The lowest pressure actually is in the vein. This is the lowest pressure. Okay, this is also low lah, right? But not as low as the vein lah. And this is the highest. We talk about the pressure, blood pressure. Okay, inside the types of blood vessel. If you want to compare the capillary, the pressure is considered a little bit higher compared to the vein. The reason is because capillary is very thin. So when the lumen is very small, you still have a higher pressure. When the lumen is big, you will have a lower pressure. Okay, so these are the 3 types of blood vessels. Okay, 3种血管. All right, okay, now I go on to another part. So here's to see lah. You see how it all works. You see our heart is the main organ pumping there, and it carries to what parts of our body. Let me put a different color. Red color, orange. Okay, so this is our here, right? Then it goes to our intestine. This is on the 肠, okay, 肠 intestine. Then you have the kidney. These are the organs. All these are arteriole. From the artery, it becomes arteriole. Arteriole, then branching out smaller until you can see the capillary. Okay, so in the kidneys here, this is your body cells everywhere, somewhere else. Then it also goes to your head. Don't forget, up here also, the blood also can travel back to your head, your head and your arms. Okay, 上去下去都有的. Okay, everywhere. Then after that, blood, the oxygen goes out, carbon dioxide goes in, and then now it carries back to the heart. Everything joined together. Venule join, medial join together, you get vein. Okay, vein all joined together, you go into the vena cava. Okay, this is the superior coming from the top. The inferior is coming from the bottom here. So everything pours back into the right atrium. Okay, this is how it works lah. So everything is flowing forever. Okay, now let's look at the heartbeat. This is interesting. So I want you to see how often does your heart, how many beats does your heart beat every minute? Do you know your heartbeat rate or not? Okay, you all just put there. I just need to know. Do you know how have you measured your kada nadi rehat? I think you do it in PJ, right? Your PJ 有没有? Okay. What is your resting heartbeat? What is your resting heartbeat? That means when you're not running, we're not doing anything, and just when you wake up from your sleep, okay, you can get your heartbeat by pressing here. Really, try. This is called your this is a radial artery. You just put your fingers here, and then you try to find 2 fingers. Don't put your thumb because thumb has its own pulse here. Use 2 fingers. You try to find and press, and you can see there's a certain place here. You can feel like something is jumping there. Something. Boop, boop. Okay, you have about, correct, 70 to 80 is normal, yes. A normal human being will have around 70 to 80 when you're not doing anything strenuous activity. You're not running. You're running definitely much higher because you need more oxygen to produce more energy. So the blood must pump faster. The heart must pump faster. And you notice the blood, the heart has a certain sound, isn't it? What is the sound of the heart? Right? You have this when the doctor puts a stethoscope. Now, this thing is called a stethoscope to hear your heartbeat. The sound that you will hear is something like called loop doop. Okay, loop doop, loop doop. So you always describe the name of the beating of the heart. The sound is called loop doop sound. Okay. Now, how do you get this loop doop sound? Why does the heart have this loop doop sound? Okay, the loop doop sound is produced because of the closing of the valves. Okay, so I want to highlight this word. Opening and the closing of the valves. Usually it's a closing during the heartbeat. So remember we have learned the bicuspid valve and tricuspid valve and also the semilunar valve. Once the blood flows through, remember that the thing will close. Okay, now so I'll show the picture here. You can see something is, okay. This is the flow. Now, how does it work? You have your atrium, you have a ventricle. So when atrium contracts, your ventricle would be not contracting. It's not together. It's like when the top contracts, I'm actually, this is the atrium. 上面那个房间. This is the ventricle, 下面那个房间, the bottom one. So I'm only showing you one half, I'm one side. I don't have 4 hands to show you. I'm only showing this part. So if this one closed, this one will open, right? This one will relax. So contract, relax, like that. So you see when the on top one contracts, you see it pushes the blood down. And then once here is filled with blood, all right, this one will push up and the blood comes out through the aorta and pulmonary artery. You can see blood goes in, it goes out through the tubes here, okay? And then the sound is produced when the valves close. Now, what are the valves? The valves are the bicuspid, tricuspid. Okay, I'm going to show you another video, a GIF, another one, but it's a real heart, so you can see very clearly the opening and closing of the valves. Okay, 等一下. I want to show you this one, but I need to open the file first. You wait for a while. Open the file, and then I'm going to share again. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to share this whole screen for you. Then you can see better. Okay. Okay, I think you cannot see now. I need to share this one first. I need to close your sharing first, and I share again. Wait, okay, I'll share screen. Right. Application window. Yeah. Okay. I think I can see this now. Can you see this? Yes, right. So it is an animation, but it looks really real. Now, do you see the valves there? Where are the valves? Let me show you the valve. The thing that you can see is the big one. This is the ventricle. The atrium is not seen here. The atrium is at home, it's at the back here. So you can see this one. I can see my finger. This one, the cursor there. This is the 左边的是 tricuspid. This is the the right side of the heart. And on this side is the bicuspid. 你看它有2片, 2 pieces. The one on the left has got 3 pieces. It's called tricuspid. So you can see closes, right? There's no blood to show you. They just show the opening. And then this is the one on top, the semilunar valve. The one at the base of the pulmonary artery is here. The aorta is on the behind. 在后面 at the back, cannot see. So you can see like close. You see? So it's a loop, loop. Now loop 是 bicuspid, tricuspid close. So it's loop. Then loop 了咧. 一下子就会嘟 ，so 嘟嘟 ，OK， I try to synchronize the sound 啊，嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟 ，OK， can you hear or not？ 嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟嘟，that's where you hear the sound of your heart. Okay, so you can see very clearly, right? Okay, this picture is very good. Okay, so now I'm going to unshare. Go back to my the screen there. How to unshare? Okay, now I'm going to share back the other one. Okay, share back the other. Okay, this one. Yeah. Okay, wait for a while. Sorry, I share错了. Okay, I'm share the other one. Share screen. I'm sharing the other one. Okay, application window. Okay. Now, so going back to this one. All right, going back to this one, you can see very clearly. Yeah, you can see very clearly just now. Where is it? All right. The blood goes in, goes out. Okay, so the loop doop sound. Let me go through the details. Let me go through the details here. 还有一个 video 让你看呢。等下那个这个 video. Okay, never mind, not so important. Okay, this one. Let's go to this one. How is the loop doop sound produced? Okay, we go to loop first. Loop is called when the ventricle squeeze. This is called systole. Now, systole phase is, we call it contraction. Okay, 记得这个 systole the meaning is actually contraction. Contraction means squeeze. So you can see the ventricle is squeezing. So when it's squeezing, you see these two things must close because we do not want the blood to flow back into the what? Into the atrium. We don't want the blood to go back into the atrium. Okay, that would be wrong. Remember, you want to go back to the back it came from. Wrong direction. Okay, so that's why it closes. So when you hear that happen, it's called a loop. The first sound is produced when this one squeezes. When it squeezes, the two bicuspid, tricuspid valve will close. So you hear the sound loop. Okay, so the loop sound is produced by the closure, means closing of the tricuspid and bicuspid valves between the atria and the ventricles when the contraction of the ventricle. So this happens when the ventricle contracts. We call this systole. Okay, systole is the time when we call it the phase. The phase when these two contract. Okay, systole. Okay, so this and this pressure is actually high pressure because the ventricle is very strong. The muscles are very strong. So the pressure that comes out after the systole, usually this pressure is high one. So when you measure the 血压, the blood pressure, notice not your blood pressure two numbers on, right? 120/80. For you St. John girls, you know lah. 120/80. The number on top is called the systolic. Systolic means the systole, the higher pressure. The number that's 120 means is the pressure, the millimeter, when the blood comes out of the heart like that. This is through the systole phase. Okay, so you hear the first sound already, loop. Okay, when it presses it, loop already. Then followed by the next one, that the blood will flow up already, right? But then you find it will reset again, So after that, after the ventricle contract, it must relax, It will have to relax. When it relaxes, actually the other two, which is the atrium, will start to squeeze. Okay, and when this one relax, when we talk about the ventricle, 它下面的 relax, the bottom is relaxed, it's called diastole. Diastole is the phase when the ventricle relax. So you can see it's bigger. Okay, the diastole phase is not squeezing because just now the systole like this squeeze, relax. So the systole, you will see that the ventricle is a bit bigger, right? And when that happens, you find that now which valve will close now? The two on top there. Semilunar valves. No. Valve 这个 and 这个. No, not this one. This semilunar valves 两个. This one and this one. So they will close now. Okay, so you had the second sound, which is the doop. The doop is not as loud as the doop, loop, right? So the loop, doop, loop, doop. One of the sound is a bit louder. Okay, so the doop sound, the second one, is by the closure of the semilunar at the aorta and the pulmonary at the bottom there. When the relaxation of the ventricle, now relaxation, 它现在是 relax. So the relaxation is called diastole. And this one, the pressure, the blood will be lower because it's relaxing. 没有 pressure, or not 没有 pressure, 比较少. The pressure is low. It's called diastole. Okay. The pressure reading of the blood flowing into and filling the diastolic pressure reading. So when you see the number for the pressure, the normal blood pressure is 120/80 lah. This is healthy. You got it, millimeter per mercury. This is the unit. If adults for adults, okay, if you have this blood pressure, you maintain it when you're very, very old, means you're okay. No high blood pressure. High blood pressure is about 40 onwards. Okay, this is called the systolic. Okay, systolic reading, and the one at the bottom is diastolic. Okay, so systolic is always a higher one. So systole, because remember systole is to squeeze. So how to remember? As squeezing. Okay, systole is squeeze. So squeeze is definitely higher pressure one. Remember? Now, so how to measure blood pressure? So this one is clear. Loop. Always think of the loop first. The tricuspid and bicuspid one closest is loop. And then the dupe is the other two on top there closing. Okay, so loop, dupe. So it's always remember, very easy to remember, loop then dupe, loop then dupe. Okay, now next one. You go to the doctor, all right? Your parents go to the doctor or your grandparents go to the doctor, they always measure your blood pressure. This is an indication of whether your heart is healthy or not. If your blood pressure is too high, there's always a danger of the blood vessels breaking. So that's why when your blood pressure is too high, it happens in your brain here, 它会爆，血管爆啊。Actually, it happens in your brain, it's called 中风, we call it stroke. Okay, which is no good because the blood comes out and then it's gonna be clotting, it clots 会有那个 clot that means 它凝固，那个血凝固呢，它就很危险的啦。Okay, so it shouldn't be breaking, it should not, it's always blood should be inside the blood vessel, it shouldn't flow out. So if flow out means wrong already. So this measurement, this meter is called sphygmomanometer. Quite difficult to remember, but sometimes you just call it blood pressure meter also can, but the correct word is sphygm. Okay, how to mention? I'll give you a simple way. There's a G here. Sphygmomanometer. Okay, it's very easy to remember. I tell you how to remember. First, SVIG. Sorry, sphygmomanometer. Okay, how to pronounce it? It's just as okay. Sphygmomanometer. The manometer, put it separately. Just say sphygmomanometer. Okay, so this is the your pressure. If you're not healthy, your pressure will be too high. Also, maybe not too low, but it's better to be low than high lah. Because if it's high, you can break, the blood vessels can burst. Okay, healthy reading 120 millimeter. Actually is mercury, 水银啊，它那个这是水银，它里面是水银。Okay, it's a mercury. So 120 mm is the normal one for the systolic, and the lower one, the diastolic, is 75. Something about 80 lah. Usually it's about 120/80 lah. Okay, so this is the correct one. And then how to measure your pulse rate? So here very easy for the sensei and the Chinese doctors. You just put 2 fingers. Now the pulse, you can measure the pulse. Pulse is the mic. Now where do you get the pulse? The pulse is produced by contraction and relaxation of the muscular artery. So remember, it's the artery that has the pulse because the artery is got elastic. 有那个什么那个 blood 那个 muscles, so muscle it can contract and relax. The vein, the muscles are very weak because it's very thin. Only the pulse, you can feel the pulse only if you find the artery. You can never feel the pulse if you find the vein. Okay, so this is produced by the contracting and the relaxation. That's why you find that there's something like jumping there, 跳的那个是 pulse. Okay, so and the pulse will actually there are certain factors that influence your pulse, whether your pulse is fast or slow. Okay, I'll go back to this one very quickly. So this is another activity that can be done. We're going to do this in school. Okay, so this is one of the experiments that you have to do. So I will not explain it now first. Let me explain the theory first. What are the things that can affect your pulse? Number one is the gender, 性别, whether you're a boy or a girl. Okay, so there's a difference. Usually for a man or woman, same age, I'm talking about same age, man or woman, or maybe boy or girl, same age, same height, everything the same, except one is a boy and a girl. Usually the heartbeat of the female is a little bit higher than the male. Okay, now why? Okay, let's see. Average pulse rate of an adult male is about 70 to 72 beats per minute. Okay, you can take your own later after you go back. You just look at the watch and you start counting. First of all, you find your pulse, then you wait everything ready, then you look at the clock and you start counting how many times. Okay, and for the female is a little bit higher, 78 to 82. Now why? What's the reason? The reason is because the size of the heart, there's a slight difference in the size of the heart. Who has a bigger size? Can you guess first? Who has a bigger heart size? The male or the female? Comparing same body size. Of course, we cannot compare a very big size man with a very small lady. We must be comparing the same size body first. And then if same size body, same age, and everything the same, who will have a higher, whose heart is higher? Whose heart will have a higher, bigger? Yeah, male will have a bigger heart. Okay, yes. So if a male has a slightly bigger heart, that means when it pushes the blood out, it will push more. Correct or not? If the woman's heart is smaller, one time it pushes, it will push less blood. Correct? So when you push less blood, that means you must push many more times to achieve the same amount. Okay, 如果那个 heart 是比较小的, let's say for example, very simple I want to carry water I have the 拔那个水喉to carry the chedok air. I have a big one. I just have to scoop a few times. This one already penuh, right? Full already. But if I got a small one, like a small chedok, don't you think I have to chedok more times in order to fill up my tongue, isn't it? Fill up my tongue. So if your heart is smaller, you end up having to beat many more times. Just like a baby, right? Baby has a smaller heart. You notice that the heartbeat of a baby is actually higher than adults. Us, or for us, let's say us and also your age The smaller the baby, the heart is smaller, and also of course the baby is active So the heartbeat is about 100. If you compare your own heartbeat and a baby, the age, a baby will have a heartbeat of about 100, and you are only about 70 to 80. Okay, so when your heart is smaller, you end up having to beat more times because you want to achieve the volume of the blood. So same thing difference in the heart size of the heart. So the females will have a smaller size heart. So that means they have to beat much higher rate to get that kind of, the blood flowing So if you have a bigger heart like a male, you have to beat less. Okay, that's the difference on it. Okay, number 2, the age. Now, the older you are, okay, the person's pulse rate becomes lower. So if you compare an active person, let's say maybe your age all right, 70, 80, and you compare with your grandparents who's maybe around 70, 80 years old, their heartbeat will be around 60 something, maybe 50, about 60 per minute. Yours will be 70 to 80. And because you're a very more active lifestyle and all that, you may even have higher. Okay, so roughly you can see 20 years old, this is the maximum. Maximum, that means when you're exercising, you can go up to 200. Okay, not more than 200 But if you are very old, let's say you're 70 years old, your maximum heart rate cannot go too high already. It's about 150. So this is when you're exercising. This is not your resting heart rate. 这个是你 exercise 的时候。Okay, exercise 它不会 not more than 200 for your age, around age. Of course, you're not 20 yet Okay, body health. Another thing that will determine your pulse, whether your pulse is high or low, is whether you're healthy or not. So a person who is less healthy, okay, will be different. Either the heartbeat will be higher or lower. It's not fixed whether it's higher or lower. Okay, depends on the illness of the person. So when it's too high, it's not good. It's too low, it's also dangerous. So always maintain a heartbeat about 70 to 80 for normal. Okay. So, the next lesson, I will just go through a little bit more before I talk about the blood. Okay, to model that we have already done 2 out of the 3 already. Remember what we're going to learn, what we have already learned? The first thing was the heart, that is the organ. All right. The second thing is we have learned about today's lesson was the blood vessels. Okay. So the next lesson we're going to learn about is the blood. What's inside the blood? Okay, that will be very interesting. Okay, so but before that, we will have to go through a little bit more. I didn't have time. Actually, I should have done this one, the activity. This one, I will explain to you how we're going to do it. Okay, we're going to do the activity in school, and also why is it important to maintain a healthy heart. You're going to let me know lah. Okay, how to maintain a healthy heart. The answer should come from you. Okay, now for your homework, please do your exercise, the workbook. Please fill up. Every time after the lesson, please fill up. So today's work is page 51. 52, 53, okay, and then 53 lah. The 54, 55 is the experiment with you measuring your own heartbeat. Okay, so you have any questions here for so far? I see there are no questions here so far. Okay, yeah, everything okay? All right. If any questions, please always telegram me. All right, and I'll be able to answer your questions. Okay, so until my next lesson, which will be on Friday. All right, be on Friday. So I will see you on Friday then. Okay, so stay healthy and sleep early, and please remember to do your homework. All right, okay. Wait, let me close this first. All right, okay. So bye-bye, girls. Bye-bye. And see you on Friday. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, thank you, girls. Bye-bye. Good night.